Hey everyone, Big A Games here, coming to you with a quick and simple vendor exploit in Baldur's Gate 3. If you are feeling poor and want to have better gear, then watch to the end of this video so your pockets can be lined with that sweet, sweet and heavy gold. Using this exploit, you can get everything from the vendor of your choice in just seconds. In the clip, you can see that I'm talking to the very first vendor that you encounter during the campaign that I know of. So let's jump into this. The first thing you're going to want to do is select all of the items in your inventory and drag them over into the vendor's inventory while on the barter tab. Now you're going to want to do the same thing in reverse. Once you've taken all the items out of the vendor's inventory, you can see that his gold has gone up, and so is yours. Now you can just keep rinsing and repeating this process until you have the amount of money that you want. Now, be careful not to do what I accidentally just did. It doesn't really matter, but make sure you select all the items when doing this glitch. And like I said, this is a repeatable bug, so you can just continue to go back and forth as your stack of money continues to grow, and so does his. And the more valuable your items are, the money will just grow that much more exponentially. However, do keep in mind that gold has a weight, and I have noticed that it does tend to bug out a little bit once you're over your encumbrance level. Now we're going to go back and forth here a little bit longer just to get some of the stuff. Now there are a few things that you can do to take that exploit one step further. And that's going to be taking your party and ungrouping one of the members and sending them back to camp. And once you take that member and you've sent them back to camp, you are then ready for the next part of this glitch, which is going to be to take the rest of the money that the vendor has left in their inventory by use of a bag and then another exploit. So what you're going to want to do for this is to get back on the barter screen and then trade the vendor one of your bags. Once you've traded the vendor one of your bags, you can then take the gold, put it in the vendor's inventory. And then after you've got the gold in the vendor's inventory, you then want to switch to the character that you had sent back to camp. Now that we've done that, we're going to close the bag, then double click it, and then leave the chat with the vendor. And now that we've left the chat with the vendor, you can see the bag here. So what you're going to want to do is just click take all, and then you got all the money. You can see it here on our inventory. Now just to show you, we'll go back into the vendor's bartering menu, and you'll see that he has nothing left but your bag. So this vendor is kind of broken now because he doesn't have anything but the bag to really trade with. And you can see you can't give him the stuff anymore. He has to have money for it to work. But if you take a long rest, I do believe that that does reset the vendor's money. So what we're going to go do now is leave the vendor's inventory and walk to another vendor in this same area. This is the first little settlement that you can come to. And down here in this area is another vendor with actually even better things than the first vendor we just looked at. And what's really funny is even if they do patch these exploits in the game, something tells me that in the future you'll still even be able to sell a vendor a bag or a chest or a barrel or anything that you can put stuff in, and then still be able to just drag everything in the vendor's inventory into that container and then just pickpocket the vendor. Like, I don't see why or how they could ever fix that. All you got to do is just drop a save right before the pickpocket happens and just keep rolling the die until it goes in your favor. So what we're going to do is just walk up to this guy, trade this vendor pretty much exactly like we did the other vendor. The first go around, when we took everything from our inventory, drug it into his, and then drug everything from his inventory back into our inventory. Now that we're in his inventory, we're going to take everything here, drag and drop it over, but you can see not everything transferred, and that's partially because of the inventory situation and the over encumbrance I was talking about earlier. So before you go taking on a new vendor, you're going to want to offload the items that you have at camp, or just sell the junk back to the vendor that you're never going to use. Either way, just try to keep yourself from being over encumbered because it will mess up this exploit. But I'm going to go back and forth here for a little while until I have a ton of money, and I will check back with you guys here in a second. Alright, so now that we've done that back and forth a few times, we're going to do the bag thing again. So we're going to trade over a bag to the vendor. Now the vendor has a bag. We're going to put the gold in the bag. We're going to close the bag, switch to the character that is at camp, double click the bag, close him, get out of the chat, take all the gold. Now I'm going to jump into the inventory of the character here, and you can see all of the gold. And yeah, and that's it, everybody. You know, pretty simple. Now let's hope this exploit doesn't get patched out anytime soon, but there's workarounds and other things. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Please feel free to like and subscribe.